The reason for this video is to demonstrate what a hardwood floor looks like when it gets to the end of its life. A lot of floors can't be sanded anymore because they're just too thin. So I have a couple 3/8 inch strip boards here, which is a overwhelmingly common size in Ontario. So you can see on these two boards, there's the one on the right has an upper and lower rail with a groove, and the one on the left has a tongue. So when hardwood floors are installed, the tongue of one board slips into the groove of the board beside it. So when hardwood floors are sanded from the time they're new, the first part of the floor that starts to get thin is the upper rail, the part above the tongue. And as the floor gets sanded throughout its sanding history, it gets thinner and thinner, and eventually the upper rail starts to sliver up and break away. That's what the absence there on the end of that board is. That's not a crack between the boards. That's the upper rail that's broken off because it was sanded too much. You can also see a bunch of dots on the cracks of the boards surrounding the area. Those are the heads of the nails that are starting to show. And the problem with it getting thin like that is the upper rail and the tongue and groove are the locking mechanism for the floor. So once the upper rail is too thin, and once it starts to break off, the floor starts to lose its grip. They get squeaky, they actually get loose. So you can see throughout this old floor that there's upper rails missing and nails showing almost everywhere. If you have a floor that this isn't too advanced in, if it's just a few places, you can fix it, but it's a lot of work. You have to put screws down into the canals where the rails are missing and screw them into the subfloor because the board can't hold itself down anymore, doesn't have an upper rail. You also have to go over the floor with a 16 gauge nail gun and nail it back down, and you have to fill it and put 4 coats of polyurethane on in this case. So you can see the edges of these boards that we've sanded, that the gaps between the boards have been filled up with a crack filler. You have to fill them a few times to do that. That's why it takes so much effort to bring a floor like this back to life. It can be done, but it's expensive.